I think there's also a new term in the UK now, FDS, Farage derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And Nigel Farage, who today, by the way, had a milkshake thrown over him by somebody who's got FDS, Farage derangement syndrome.
A young white woman. But the media will laugh at this.
Yeah.
Because it's a milkshake. But what happens tomorrow when it's battery acid?
Yeah.
What happens when it's a knife?
Yeah.
We can't go around assaulting
I agree.
and intimidating our elected officials or wannabe elected officials. You beat him at the ballot box.
Yeah.
Because we've already had, with Joe Cox was murdered 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Then we had the Tory guy who was stabbed to death in his office. We can't go around killing people and assaulting people.
Correct.
We've got Tory MPs who are standing down and saying, some of them just leave because they're not going to lose a seat, but some are standing down and saying it's because of threats of violence, I'm scared for my family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've got people turning up at MPs' homes with banners and screaming and shouting and the children inside. We need some new, I don't want to pass new laws, but every now and again we need new laws.
Yeah, we need to protect our elected officials, you're right.
Otherwise we don't have a democracy. It means the bullies win.
Yeah.
And whoever is willing to use the most violence wins.
Yes.
And that's not a way to run a society. So this person who did this to Farage needs the book thrown at him.
They have been arrested, I understand.
But they need that, once in court, they need the book thrown at him. It should be more than just what the class as a minor assault.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
It should be like threatening
political intimidation.
Yeah.
It needs to ratchet up.
Threatened violence or whatever. I'm sure the terminology. Yeah, but you say that, Nick, but who's going to insist on that?
No, because it's Farage. If this happened to Angela Rayner, I would just be as outraged.
Yeah.
But other people then would be going, jail that person.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure they would, because who says it? Who in the government? We have an emasculated government, don't we? The Tories. They're not strong enough to talk about this, are they? They're falling apart as we speak.
Yeah, but I don't mean politicians themselves. I mean the press.
The press.
I mean the elite. I mean the paparazzi, TV. They would all be screaming if it was Angela Rayner. If it was Diane Abbott.
Yeah.
And so they should.
Yeah.
But because it's Nigel Farage, it's almost like anything goes with him.
Yeah, I know, it's scandalous. Yeah.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
Bit like Trump.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Yeah, I know. He people ignore his maltreatment, his mistreatment, his infringement of his civil rights, like when his bank accounts were closed and things like that.
Well, do you remember 10 years ago it was not McDonald's, what's your burger chain?
Wimpy.
No, that's
Burger King.
Burger King. So Wimpy, no one knows what Wimpy is. Burger King.
It was a Wimpy when I came to Manchester in the 1980s.
Yeah, that was our version of McDonald's, but then it disappeared once the big American chains moved in. But Burger King, 10 years...
I'm not down with the kids.
You're not down with the
like
kids.
you.
Burger King had an advertisement online saying something like UKIP and Farage are coming to town. We've got a special offer on milkshakes.
That's scandalous.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
No, they pulled it. They apologised. But that's how much that was treated 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That corporates were making jokes about their milkshakes being used to assault politicians in our country.
Scandalous. I didn't know that. I'm not going to go to Burger King again. Although they do some nice burgers.
No. Go to Wimpy.
So the reason I mentioned Farage and the milkshake is because since we met last week, Nick, Farage, and I think it was on Monday, wasn't it? On Monday of this week, he's changed his position, and apparently he made the decision on Sunday. So this is a guy who thinks about things, makes decisions, and is capable of changing his mind, which I quite like, actually.
Yeah.
I like the idea that people think about things and then maybe formulate a different direction. I think that's a very powerful thing for a person.
He realised he made a mistake.
Yeah. So he was going to America to support Trump, which again is a personal friend of Trump. He's a powerful personality and would be very helpful to Trump, although Trump doesn't need help, I don't think. And so he said, I'm not standing in the election. I'll carry on as the chairman of the Reform Party. Suddenly, Monday, he takes over from Richard Tice, which is just, again, shows the kind of level of kind of not brutality, but seriousness and ruthlessness that you need in a leader, in my view. So he rang Tice up on the Monday after he'd rung a load of other people apparently and said, "Richard, I'm taking back over the party as the leader of the party." And then Tice had to say, "Oh, we've been discussing it for 3 weeks and I'm really glad he's back." So Tice is kind of, I actually think it's a good thing because he's far more charismatic than Tice, and there's no doubt about it. He's now going to stand as an MP for Clacton, and I think he will win this time. He's stood 8 times before, but he's never won before. But Clacton famously has had a UKIP MP before, so I think he will win this time. And he has rejuvenated the Reform Party and the Reform campaign. So I think there's a couple of questions on this about you, but before we get to that, what do you think this will mean in terms of the campaign, and how many seats do you think Reform will win as a result of this intervention by Farage, this change? Because Anna, my wife, texted me. I was working. She texted me. She said Farage is standing as MP. She texted me and she said, "I'm voting." She's going to kill me for this if it gets out, by the way. She said, "I'm voting Reform, and I'm now not politically homeless." So that's quite a strong reaction from her. Yeah, she didn't want to vote for Reform when Tice was in charge or whatever. Now suddenly she's shifted. Now I suspect she's not the only person to shift. What do you think it means for the election? What do you think it means for the Conservatives, for Labour, and more importantly, how many seats do you think they will win?
Yeah, so Farage has been on a 6-7 year PR campaign. That's why he took a job at GB News, LBC Radio, and that's why he went into the jungle. He's been trying to change how people view him because he's had negative press nearly all his life, and negative press sticks. People go, "Oh, that's that. Oh, I don't like him." Well, you never heard of him. You never heard anything he says, but automatically, I don't like that man. So we'll find out. Farage in the past, because of this negative publicity that's falsely been generated around him, has kept him out of power as an MP, because he will get up to a certain point of the populace and then nobody else will vote for him. Now, we'll find out, has he managed to take some of that negativity away from his brand now, and will he push up him personally to win that seat? We don't know, but I suspect this is his best chance ever, and not just because he's improved his brand, which he has. The political landscape has changed. We now have GB News, so people who never would have heard him speak now listen to GB News and see him on there. People are fed up with the Tories now. People are fed up with the country crumbling. We're crying out for someone. Is he that person? He may or may not be that person, but some people, again, like your wife, will go, "There we go, we finally got someone." So I think he'll do a lot better than he's ever done before, and he's probably got a good chance of winning that seat. For Reform in general, they will shoot up in the polls now by 2 or 3%, if not more, because the publicity they've got, the fact they've got Farage back, who's more charismatic, who's more of a leader and a bit more oomph about him. I'm sure Richard Tice didn't want to stand down as leader.
Of course he did.
I'm pretty sure of that. But Nigel Farage would have made sure this, it would have made him off, he couldn't refuse. There would have been a horse's head under his pillow or something. Yeah. Will Reform win seats across the country? There's a possibility they can win 1 or 2. His seat, Lee Anderson's seat maybe, and some others, 1 or 2 others. If a successful election for them in 4 weeks' time will be to win any seats. If they get 1 seat or 2 seats, that's a very successful election for them. Because then they're in Parliament, they can grow their brand, they'll be on TV more. and they can grow from there. It's very hard getting your first one. So we'll see about that. I didn't see it coming. No one saw it coming. I think he handled it poorly a couple of weeks ago when he said he wasn't going to stand because I was announcing it next week. Well, it's only a week. What are you talking about? And now you're saying America's really... He just... For a man as good as him, because he was caught on the hop with the snap election, he didn't have time to think through what he was going to say.
Yeah.
And he made one or two only tiny mistakes, but the press jump on him all the time like Trump. And I think he's taken a week and went, it's now or never. If I don't do it now, when I try to do it again in 2, 3, 4 years' time, the answer will be, oh, you weren't interested last time, was you? Because you were too busy with Trump or the dude. So I think he realised it's either now or never, because I'll never get this again. So I think that, and he rightly so changed his mind. I'm glad he's standing for the country. But it does mess me up a little bit.
We'll come on to you in a minute, but I think this is the thin end of the wedge in terms of reform or another party. I think if Farage and maybe a couple of other reform candidates get in, that creates a platform for them to grow dramatically towards the next election, basically, I think. I think they'll start to become taken seriously. They'll have if he gets in, they'll have a spokesman in Parliament who's very powerful, who the press will want to be talking to all the time as well.
Yeah.
So he'll have a disproportionate impact, I think, in Parliament if he gets in, as he did when he was an MEP. And I think he's seeing this, as you say, an opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity to get into Parliament, even if he just gets in, gets in, and then build on that with the Reform Party for the next election to become something far more serious, potentially something to take over from the Conservatives. So I think that's his strategy now.
I think his strategy is slightly different to that. I think his strategy is to damage the Tories as much as possible now, get some Reform people elected now to Parliament, and then 5 years in opposition where Labour will tear themselves apart, destroy the country a little bit more than the Tories have done.
Yeah.
The Tories will have 5 years to sort themselves out, become a proper Conservative party, and then they will do a deal with Reform and they will merge under the Tory brand. Farage will be given a safe seat and a prominent position if they're in government, so will one or two of the other major Reform people, and they will end up joining and being Tories.
Because he said that, hasn't he? He said he wants to take over the Tory party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like that video? I think you did. Hit the bell, give it a big thumbs up, comment, and don't forget, I'm standing for election in Oldham East and Saddleworth. So please share this video, speak to your family and friends if you live in Greater Manchester, and if you live in Oldham East and Saddleworth, make sure you vote for me. Catch you soon.